years have passed since the chilling events of the twilight evening when I was still a high school student, tasked with delivering pizzas for my final shift of the day. My trusty 1999 Camry, reliable companion for countless deliveries, carried me through the rural landscape of upstate New York, where winding dirt roads led to secluded destinations. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the dense forest, my GPS announced my arrival at an isolated lakefront cottage. Its weathered wooden facade stood sentinel amidst a sea of trees, the overgrown lawn a testament to its seclusion. Despite the eerie atmosphere, I approached the door with practiced nonchalance, ready to complete my duty and head home. A sharp rap echoed through the stillness as my knuckles met the door, but to my surprise, there was no door to knock on. Instead, I found myself peering through an empty doorway into the dimly lit interior. Within moments, the creaking of floorboards announced the approach of unseen footsteps. Unease crept over me as I sensed an unseen presence watching from within, a feeling that only intensified when I noticed a peephole in the door. "It's the pizza guy," I announced, hoping to dispel the tension. A gravelly voice from within instructed me to bring the pizza around to the back, a request that sent a shiver down my spine. Reluctantly, I complied, my desire to avoid trouble with my boss outweighing my instincts to flee. As I navigated the unkempt grass to the rear of the cottage, a sense of foreboding settled over me like a suffocating fog. Approaching the patio, I noticed a figure seated at the table, their back turned to me. "Excuse me," I called out, receiving no response. Growing increasingly uneasy, I repeated myself, only to hear a voice beckoning me from behind the house. Turning, I beheld a man with a wild grin, his gaze sending a chill down my spine. "Come over here. I want to show you something," he urged, his words dripping with menace. Heart pounding, I abandoned all pretense of politeness and fled, the taste of fear bitter on my tongue. Ignoring the voice's call, I sprinted back to my car, the weight of the uneaten pizza a stark reminder of the danger I had narrowly escaped. Once safely away, I contacted the authorities, my hands trembling as I recounted the harrowing encounter. Yet, despite their investigation, the cottage remained deserted, its secrets shrouded in mystery. Haunted by the memory of that night, I made the decision to leave my delivery job behind, the specter of what could have been a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of the ordinary. During one of my late-night shifts as a delivery driver, I found myself navigating the rural roads of the Poconos, enveloped by darkness and an eerie fog. This particular night was no different, except for the chilling events that would unfold. As I drove down a familiar shortcut to town, my headlights pierced the gloom, revealing nothing but towering trees lining the road. Suddenly, a figure darted out from the shadows, causing me to slam on the brakes with a sickening jolt. The sickening impact confirmed my worst fear. I had hit someone. Heart pounding, I stumbled out of my car to find a motionless figure lying by the roadside, cloaked in a black hoodie. Panic surged within me as I grappled with the realization of what had just occurred. Questions swirled in my mind. Why was this person here? And why had they leaped in front of my car? As I stood frozen in shock, a distant scream pierced the night, pulling me from my stupor. Someone was in trouble, and instinct drove me towards the sound, leaving the injured stranger behind. It was a decision fueled by irrational desperation, a futile attempt to make sense of the chaos unfolding around me. Venturing into the darkness, I called out into the void, hoping for a response that never came. Instead, I was met with an eerie silence, broken only by the rustle of leaves underfoot. Suddenly, a chilling sensation crept over me as I sensed a presence lurking nearby. With a mounting sense of dread, I fled back to my car, the fear of pursuit urging me onwards. But upon my return, the man I had struck was nowhere to be found, leaving behind only the lingering dread of the unknown. Shaken but determined to fulfill my duty, I continued on my route, delivering the pizza to a seemingly ordinary house. Yet, my encounter with the mysterious figure would not be the end of my ordeal. Upon ringing the doorbell, I was greeted by a middle-aged woman whose gaze seemed to pierce through me. Her cryptic question about a delivery partner sent a chill down my spine, and my stomach dropped as I turned to find a figure seated in the back of my car. Terrified and shaken to my core, I contacted the authorities, who arrived to find the intruder gone, but leaving behind a blood-stained knife, a grim reminder of the danger that had lurked in the shadows. To this day, the memory of that night haunts me, a chilling reminder of the thin veil separating ordinary life from the darkness that lies beneath. The memory of that night lingers with an eerie chill, forever etched in my mind. The closing hour loomed over the pizza joint where I toiled, anticipating the end of my shift. Alone at the counter, I fielded calls, each ring a disruption to the impending freedom. Answering the persistent call, I was met with silence, an unsettling void that prompted me to disconnect. Yet, the phone persisted, ringing again with the same eerie quiet. With a sense of dread, I answered, greeted by the faint, cold voice of an elderly woman, her request for a standard pie piercing through the stillness. Though outwardly polite, inwardly frustration simmered. All I craved was the solace of home. Summoning the courage, I relayed the order to my boss, resigned to the fact that it was just another delivery. With the address in hand, I embarked on the journey, the GPS guiding me through deserted streets and silent alleys. Arriving at the designated house, a shiver ran down my spine as I surveyed the darkened facade. With trepidation, I approached, clutching the pizza tightly. Each ring of the doorbell yielded no response, leaving me stranded in uncertainty. Turning to leave, a movement caught my eye. A figure, obscured by the dim light, stood at the window. Heart pounding, I cautiously approached, meeting the gaze of an elderly woman, her expression devoid of warmth. Shouting through the glass, I announced my arrival, met with an unsettling smile that sent shivers down my spine. With nerves frayed, I retreated to my car, the pizza now a weighty burden. Alerting my boss to the unsettling encounter, I hastily fled the scene. The image of the woman's haunting smile burned into my memory. As I sped away, a sense of relief washed over me, knowing I would never again be tasked with such a late-night delivery.